I'm Lance.
I'm Sebastian.
And we're going for a drive. '21 Aston Martin DBX.
Without launch control, brake boost.
Horsepower and torque.
542 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque from a 4-liter twin-turbo V8.
That was one of the coolest launches because like right once it started, it's slow and then full in.
Yes, there was nothing for the initial half second,
I think
and then just like 4,000% more.
Yeah, deciding if it has traction. I do. Go.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Okay, so what is this?
It's basically a AMG engined Aston Martin SUV.
So is it built off an AMG Mercedes SUV?
No, this is Aston Martin's own platform.
So that's Aston Martin's first SUV ever.
Yeah, and it's very interesting.
If you're shopping for a new Aston Martin DBX, click the TrueCar link in the top right corner for discounted price offers. Before we get to the looks, I want to talk about this blue interior. It is so bright, it looks so awesome. I can't wait to dig into it later.
This is a really cool spec.
Looks-wise, let's talk about that really quickly. It looks totally awesome like an Aston Martin.
Yeah, and I love that they retained the regular size Aston Martin grille. They didn't like make it bigger like what BMW's doing.
So starting with the front end, it looks totally Aston Martin. It's perfect.
But also totally Ford Escape.
I kind of see it, but like this is so Aston Martin that it doesn't bother me at all. And then our daytime running lights are actually at the very bottom, and those are also your turn signals, which is very cool.
Yes, and they're also intakes for the brakes, which is extra cool.
And then when we pop our hood, it's like a whole kind of clamshell up there, which is really awesome. And we got some really cool hood vents and stuff. And then what's under the hood?
It's an AMG sourced V8, which I believe is handcrafted, except it's inspected by some guy in England.
Yeah, Jacob made a joke. It's going to have a British guy's name instead of a German.
Something Stevenson,
and
it turns out it is something Stevenson.
Because the British guy inspected it, but the German guy built it.
That's right. But they don't want you to know that, but we just told you that.
And then from the side, the body lines are unreal. The way there's like that line on the fender and the way it scoops in, there's really nothing like that.
Yeah, that is definitely my favorite part. And then my second favorite part are these wheels. How cool are these wheels? I'm gonna go with, right now, as of this date, wheels of the year for me.
In Deb's video on Andy the Lab, she had black and white versions of it, and that looked so much better.
I've also seen it with bronze as well. Like, it looks awesome.
But before we get to the content of the recommended tire, little send through cliche.
Okay, and...
Oh, the back end wants to get out so much.
Yeah.
What the heck?
This is all-wheel drive, except it's very, very heavily rear-biased.
I did not expect that.
Yeah, it definitely oversteers more than a comparable Mercedes would.
But probably similar to a comparable Levante Trofeo.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, what is the Continental recommended tire for the DBX?
The Sport Contact 6.
Back to looks. Any more side view stuff?
Yeah, do you want to start with the doors?
The doors go kind of up.
Just like Aston Martin's. And they're so heavy, and I really don't like that. But you were saying that it adds to the luxurious feeling of the doors.
Yeah, it's some extra weight, even though if it's like added in there somehow. I really like that. But then I closed the back door and it wasn't soft closed, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, they're so heavy.
And they are frameless.
Yeah, which is cool.
Like pretty much a must for these kind of SUVs. And our door handles are hidden. You push in, they come out, so you got nice sleek body lines. And then with the body lines, we have a very expensive optional paint, and it pops so hard.
Yeah, this paint looks really, really nice, especially for a white paint.
And then for some of us, we're like, why would you spend so much money on optional white paint? And I showed this to my buddy who has an Aston Martin, and he's like, yo, is that pearl paint? And it's like, sure enough, like Aston Martin people do like the pearl expensive paint.
Yeah, how much was that? Not enough.
Yeah.
Charge me more.
Okay, rear end.
Let's start with the big old duckbill spoiler, because that's probably the part that sticks out the most, literally.
It looks like a lot of the new Aston Martins, so
Yeah,
I think it's perfect.
I think it's really good, but I think the rear 3/4 is probably my least favorite angle of this car.
I kind of like every angle equally. I'm not even gonna lie.
Okay, and then what about these really cool looking taillights?
They are normal Aston Martin taillights, but the middle part is the brake light. I wish it was fully connected and the brake light would be on the spoiler, which this does have a cool spoiler as well.
Yeah, so it's only connected when you hit the brakes.
Do you like this wing?
it's all right. It complements the ducktail, I think, or duckbill, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think it's overall a really good look. And then our exhaust tips.
Yeah, they're real-ish, I would say. 2020 real, but they're a very good 2020 real.
The surround around them with the cutouts is so nice, the way it like shrinks the size and everything. And then I guess we should
take a listen to the outside.
Sounds a lot like a Mercedes.
AMG, yeah, a lot of AMG V8. Yuri, floor it for me so we can hear the inside. Oh, there's some crackles. Okay, so I had a long-term E63S wagon, and this sounds very similar. Slightly different. Aston Martin definitely put a little bit of their touch to it.
But in comparison to other exotic SUVs, like the Italian ones, the Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio sounded way better on the shifts and everything.
Yep.
The Levante Trofeo sounded much better, especially on that launch control.
Yeah, it was a Ferrari engine, basically.
The Lamborghini Urus did sound really good as well.
Yeah.
A little more violent than this too.
And then the Porsche Cayenne Turbo didn't sound like anything.
So this beats the Cayenne Turbo, but loses to everything else sound-wise, I think.
Yes.
And then to finish off the looks in the rear end, I love how wide these tires are and the stance. It just looks so friggin' aggressive.
It does look pretty aggressive, but I mean, it is an Aston Martin, it is an SUV, they had to do this.
And then when I did that launch control at the beginning, I did it in automatic, because when you're in the manual mode with the paddle shifting, you don't really have cool shift lights to tell you when to shift, and the tack is kind of hard to see because it's all red. It gets larger as you go higher in the RPM range, but I have missed upshifts so often that I don't really enjoy shifting it.
Yeah, because you don't know what the actual red line is. It just gets larger, but there's no like flash shift. You just have to memorize that 7,000 you're gonna bog.
Yeah, once you get used to it, you'll use the paddles a lot more, and they are column mounted paddles because it's an Aston Martin, and that is super awesome.
They had to make it different. Even though this also has a 9-speed transmission, the powertrain is borrowed from Mercedes. And a lot of the switchgear and infotainment and a lot of other stuff from the Mercedes.
So let's get you into the driver's seat.
And talk about the Mercedes-ness?
Yes.
Okay. Aston Martin says 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds.
Prove it.
I mean... We're not timing it right now, but it definitely felt like that. Maybe even a touch faster.
I love that, like, the launch isn't that good. It's gone. That's definitely a launch control built in, whether they show it or not.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like it's building boost, but it's doing something when you brake boost it. So let's talk powertrain-wise and what this actually feels like to drive. So we do have column-mounted paddles, like Yuri said. They feel pretty good, but driving this in comparison to a Mercedes, this shifts a lot slower than a comparable Mercedes would.
But I feel like this has so much more luxury to it and like grand touringness to it. Like the main drive mode is grand touring drive mode. It kind of is okay to have that.
So now I'm going to send it into cliche corner, and the first thing you notice is how instant the turn-in is. It's actually like shockingly good. It kind of reminds me of like a Macan or something like that, and oversteer, yeah. So this was engineered by some psychopaths, clearly not the same people that did the Mercedes GLC63, which does not let you have the back end out at all.
It's so much closer to the Maserati.
Yes, and like an E63S wagon in drift mode in rear-wheel drive, this feels great to drive. Like it has that extra bite that the Maserati Levante Trofeo had.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it feels like it's gonna step out on you if you're not ready for it.
It's so controllable.
Which is pretty exciting.
Because you are in track mode, which puts you in traction off/traction track.
That's right. So while this might not be perfect and like not exactly well balanced, but it feels really exciting to drive, just like the Maserati did. I think a lot of the reason why this handles as well as it does is because of how rear biased it is. It basically only sends power to the front when it senses slip, and then we also do have a limited slip differential in the back. This is a driver's SUV, I would say.
Yeah, this is definitely very, very cool for SUVs.
Yeah, the other thing that's really cool about it is the power. So it's just like a Mercedes, basically. It feels exactly like one. Like the way the boost comes on, you wait like a split second and then you're just gone. But it feels, that vibe is the same.
And I don't think there's any pumped-in audio, is there?
It doesn't really sound like it. If there is, they did a great job with it.
Too bad they can't sound more like old Aston Martins, though.
I know. Just like a little bit more growl to it rather than this kind of like AMG characteristic sound. Let's talk about the suspension, because I think it's actually incredible. It's so soft. It's not too stiff in the stiffest mode. It's just really good air suspension.
Yeah, and then you can set up an individual mode so you can have like more power with softer suspension. So that is very nice. And you can raise and lower it pretty easily. When you go to your terrain modes, it can lift up very high.
And how quickly?
Very quickly. And when you push the down button, it'll actually drop so fast. And then if you go to the back and open the trunk, You've got buttons there to raise or lower it, and they also respond almost immediately.
The response of a lot of things in this car, like the steering, the throttle, the air suspension, everything's actually really quick in comparison to a lot of other cars, which is cool to see. So let's get to some of this Mercedes-ness on the inside.
I think this deserves a general interior commentary first,
Okay.
due to the color. It's all blue, and then we've got this cool wood, which is like a light sandalwood kind of thing, with a nice light ceiling.
This kind of reminds me of my Technion desk.
This feels like real wood.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this got to be real wood.
It
It's an Aston Martin. There's no way it's not the realest wood ever.
This better be the realest leather on the planet,
The most expensive tree. Okay, and this leather, the steering wheel feels amazing.
Premium AF.
But actually, we felt a lot of nice steering wheels from nice companies.
Yep.
I don't think any leather has felt as good as this leather has felt. Like a Porsche steering wheel is nice, but it's not this nice.
No, this is some sort of different
This feels
leather.
like it's individualized per car, where every other manufacturer is like mass market steering wheels.
Yes, they're buying from the same cow factory.
And then some other cool material touches is we've got the material folded up and then stitched along the bottom instead of piping, which I've never seen before.
I've never seen that in my life. I'm not sure if I like it, but I like the uniqueness of it.
It's so awesome. We got it there, we got it at the back. We've got white stitching, we've got Aston Martin on the headrest, and then we've got this cool cowboy perforated pattern in the back. That's what I like to call it.
That is a characteristic, I would say, of Aston Martin.
And then we got it on the sides too. The way everything wraps around, and even below here where you've got your wireless charger, it's all nicely leather wrapped. And our piano black in here is like super minimal.
I'm going to interrupt you, Yuri. This thing's actually legitimately fun to drive.
And then light seatbelts to go with it too.
Yeah, this interior, the spec, like I said, is great. Like the contrast between the colors and the stitching, like the stitching is so cool.
And then I think Aston Martin has that Q service, the James Bond styled and whatever.
You can customize the hell out of this.
Which is really cool because a lot of other luxury manufacturers don't have that kind of stuff. So whatever this is missing in the other things,
Right.
You don't go to a Porsche configurator and like put everything you want. You go to a guy and he hooks it up, or a girl, whatever.
And our gauge cluster is really nice. We have this surround that kind of looks like metal, but isn't.
It's like a rigid matte plastic. It looks really cool. No reflections from that.
No, exactly. Interesting material. And then we have this matte screen, which I think is very high quality. There's no reflections on it.
Yeah,
There's no cover over it.
And it's nice because it's not very customizable. It's just like, we built a good gauge cluster for you to use it like this.
And there's no lag in it. Like I like this gauge cluster.
The only lag is when you're switching your modes, and then everything gets very laggy.
You're right. Switching drive modes is quite laggy. So let's get to some more lag, because we also have the last generation of Mercedes infotainment.
2 gen old.
2 generations. You can't even touch the screen. That's how old it is.
Which is fine. I like the rotary wheel. I think it stops you from getting distracted. I mean, it does have some lag, but I think it's very well reskinned, and a lot of differences that make it its own Aston Martin thing enough.
And we have Apple CarPlay. And do we have Android Auto, Yuri?
We do not have Android Auto.
No, we don't.
And what's cool about this being an old Mercedes infotainment is we do have Tune Mix.
Nice. And then we also have some hard buttons down here, that rotary controller, like you said. Overall, it actually is very functional, because we like that generation of Mercedes infotainments.
And that generation also has an amazing 360 and reverse cameras.
And our drive selector isn't a Mercedes turn stock
signal.
thing. It's actually just Aston Martin style PRND up on the dash.
Can you reach D just fine, or is it a little stretch?
No, it's not a stretch for me. I could see it being a stretch for shorter people.
Yeah, but I mean, you're bare, like, you can't push it down without taking your shoulder off your seat.
My shoulder is not off the seat.
It's not even on. Put your shoulder and sit back, like, okay, now touch it. Barely.
No problem, bro. No problem.
But it is really cool to have. I like it. And then we got a little slot here for your actual key, which I kept confusing for a small little Porsche shifter.
Yes.
But I mean, I'm driving this car for not much time. I got used to it very quick.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And then these seats are also really comfortable, which we did not mention.
But they're firm.
Yes, but we don't have any massages, which is interesting.
And we got our seat controls on the seat, not on the door, because it's not a Mercedes.
And then back seat room is actually quite good. I'm quite comfortable at 6'1.5".
Yeah, it's very comfortable. And then we do have this huge panoramic sunroof, so it's just a nice green space.
Yes, it looks very impressive sitting from the back.
And I can see back into those seats as well as these seats. We've got these little plastic inserts down here too, which you don't feel, but when you actually notice them, you're like, wow, they managed to sneak that into the seats. That's very cool.
And what about trunk space?
The trunk space is actually pretty good with the seats up, and if we fold them all the way down, we have even more room. Unfortunately, we can't do the box test today because of timing, but one of these days,
Aston Martin DBX box test.
the 2025 one.
Maybe it'll be on like Instagram or something, so make sure you follow us, Yuri Terrachin and TheStraightPipes.
But the back cover is very, very fancy. That cover feels like it costs more than my entire Fiat interior.
But it doesn't even fold or anything. Like it's so annoying.
So
I mean, it's luxurious because it's annoying.
That's going to suck for my assistant to do because I'm rich.
Yes.
And back to the driving briefly, we don't have the good Mercedes lane keep assist radar cruise. We just have radar cruise with okay lane departure assist that vibrates.
That's not disappointing. You know why? Because it's a driver's car, Yuri. No, it's definitely a little disappointing. It's
yeah,
like, come on.
I want some good lane keep. But the Trofeo Maserati
had
really good lane keep, which is a competitor to this.
Yeah, for sure. The Trofeo especially, like, that thing was awesome.
Okay, and then another kind of looks things, they use this as a emergency car in Formula One.
Yes, they do.
And when you get the Formula One green color, that's really cool. Shout out Lance Stroll. Shout out, come on our channel, do cool Canada stuff.
Come on, Canadians, Canadian respect.
We'll go snowboarding and wakeboarding with you up at like Muskoka and Mont Tremblant.
Yeah, we'll go race you and your dad's cars at Mont Tremblant.
You can be our secret Stig test driver.
Yo, we raced at Mont Tremblant. When I say raced, I mean we were there for like 2 events.
We did lead follow. Same as Formula One, right?
Yeah. And let's wrap up this review with some cup holders and some visors. I would say these cup holders definitely pass.
Yeah, and then we got armrests that slide up so you can put your hand on the wheel, but then you can't use your cup holder. I guess you could use the other one and tell the passenger to hold it. Okay. Or probably not have drinks in here at all.
And what about these visors? Holy crap.
Okay, this one does not move.
Nope.
And let's move this second visor
so we have
side.
A double visor.
So it's a gimmick pass already, and let's see if it's a full pass. 3, 2, 1.
No.
It does not slide, but
it covers the whole side.
But it's so small.
It's a gimmick pass.
It is a very gimmick pass.
Wow.
Very nice visors, probably the nicest quality. And then these grab handles next to it are, you said airplane style?
Yes, and the lights back there are also airplane style.
It's like luggage or something. This is super, super nice.
The headliner, everything's definitely fancy in here. And there's this meme that I've been seeing recently where a guy is towing his Lamborghini with his Lamborghini Urus.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're just waiting for your life to go by while this guy's doing this with his life kind of thing. This can actually tow 6,000 pounds. So if you did have an Aston Martin race car or just another Aston Martin, because you probably do if you're buying one of these, you could probably tow it with this.
Nice. I want to see that in real life.
Yeah.
But then you need to make Aston Martin trailers.
Right.
Lamborghini trailers.
So somebody make that and then remake the meme with an Aston Martin. So there you go, Aston Martin marketing department.
Lance, that's you. You got to do it.
Yeah. Tow the F1 car with this. It definitely doesn't weigh 6,000 pounds.
That would be cool for a meme.
Come on.
All right. I feel like that's pretty much everything with our first Aston Martin DBX. I think it's time we get to the price.
This one starts at $203,500
Canadian.
And this one is optioned out to $245,580.
I think that's a totally okay price considering this is such a luxurious brand.
Yeah, it's kind of in line with like where a Lamborghini Urus would probably start, and a lot more than a Maserati Trofeo.
Which would really compete with this very directly.
Yes. It's definitely an interesting car. I feel like the entire vibe of the car is a very fancy Mercedes-AMG, which is a good thing if you're into that, but I feel like it doesn't have the soul that I would want of an Aston Martin.
Well, the new Aston Martins are Mercedes anyways, pretty much under the hood, and they sound the same. So
they have the same engine.
I think this is a perfect Aston Martin SUV for someone who already has an Aston Martin. Do you think somebody who has a Maserati, a Lamborghini, or a Ferrari would buy this as their SUV though? Like Ferrari, maybe, because they can't have an SUV yet, but like...
Yeah, the Puro Sang or whatever is coming. But
I feel like if you're...
I feel like a Maserati person might.
A Ferrari person would probably get a Trofeo instead of this. So I feel like this is just for Aston Martin people, but is someone going to get this Aston Martin SUV and then get an Aston Martin later?
This is going to be their first Aston Martin, and then they may end up in another Aston Martin.
Dude,
if they
if this was your first Aston Martin, you'd be like, man, this company's sick because this thing handles so well.
It's an SUV, right, which everybody's buying, and this is probably going to save Aston Martin going forward because Lance Stroll's dad, Lawrence, is now in charge of the company, so he's going to turn it around basically and just make everything SUVs and sales now.
And hopefully make the color for next year's car back to BWT pink because that stood out so much, even though the current color looks awesome.
Yeah. And if you're shopping for a new Aston Martin DBX and you live in the United States, click the TrueCar link below. There's a discount when using the TheStraightPipes link.
You can also shop for used Aston Martins using TrueCar. And if you live in Canada, there's a Car Help Canada link below. So let us know what you would take in the comments below. This Aston Martin DBX, a Maserati Levante Trofeo, a Bentley Bentayga, a Lamborghini Urus, or a Porsche Cayenne Turbo.
And other than the Maserati you just named, those are basically all the same car.
With the same engine on the same
platform?
Platform?
Yeah.